Hello, and welcome to this first of our series of show and tell webinars with Describe. We're very happy to have you here on this session, and today we are joined by Brecht, co-founder at Describe, who is also our head of integrations and engineering, and myself, Peter, co-founder as well and CEO of the company. Today, we will show you a very low show and tell session of how Describe works in context of Microsoft Power BI. And we will be covering questions like, how do you facilitate documenting your Power BI reports? How do you make sure that definitions are clearly understood by your users? And how do we make sure we spend as little time on writing documentation with maximum impact? For those of you who are new to Describe, Describe is a software as a service company. We are based in Belgium, and what we offer is a solution that helps you embed documentation directly into any of your browser-based applications. Power BI being a very popular combination for that. We started the company about 3.5 years ago because we did documentation ourselves, being data and analytics consultants, and we often used solutions like Excel files, Word documents, Confluence wikis. We spent many hours writing documentation, trying to help users use the reports and the applications in their organization better and more easily. But we noticed over time that these approaches very often are ineffective. Users don't like to go looking for documentation. They want answers when and where they matter to them, embedded directly on the pages they're currently on. So that's what Describe does. Very short introduction from my end, but as I promised, we were going to do this in a very pragmatic, to the point way. So I am very happy to give the words to Brecht to show you a few very interesting things directly in Power BI. Brecht, the word is to you.
Thank you. Also from my side, hello everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar. So we are going to cover 3 questions today. First of all is how can we help to efficiently document your reports in Power BI? The second one is how can we help that a user, a viewer can easily find their reports and their definitions? And as a third one, how will they be able to visualize this into their reports from the user perspective? So as you can see, we start on a report, and I want to give you some clues on how typically we see documentation happen in reports. So we have a report here, and the first page is what they call the documentation page. We give a short overview of what is this report about. We get an owner, we have a developer, and we can see that there is also a link to, of course, how can it be different, an Excel file with a lot of KPI definitions. How can we help with Describe here? So let's say we go to our report. You can see directly here that you find our logo in the right corner of your report. When you click on it, we ask you to start documenting this report. And that's what we are going to do today together. So first of all, you can see we automatically created your report in Describe. And how can we help now to make it easier to document? Of course, like everybody is doing right now, GenAI. We are going to generate some documentation for you. This can take a couple of minutes. What we do is we take a screenshot of the page. We send that to a private LLM model that we host. And based on that, we are going to generate some documentation for you. As you can see, here we are. So let's check it out. So you can see that we get an overview based on what is in our report. This is a start, a good start. We can change this. So you can, for example, say, this is not what we need. We can just remove it. And here we have the basis of our documentation. That is general information of how our report should look like, how our user can interact with our report. But there is more. It can also be more specific. For example, we can see here units market share. We can add what we call a hotspot. It's a more specific documentation where you can have a selector and where you can easily select this style. So we automatically create a hotspot. We can name our hotspot. And we can add some documentation here again. And what is more, we can link definitions. And here is what becomes interesting. I will show you. We have a definition prepared, market share. That is how we see market share in our organization. And once we save it, we can see that the definition is linked. Why does this become interesting? If we click through on this definition, we have a tab called Relations. And that is where we can see market share is linked across our organization, not only in the sales webinar market report, but also in another report, lead generation. And that is how you can see if we change something in this definition, that will have an impact on these reports. And that's what becomes very interesting to see. All right, so that is how we shortly give an overview of how to document the report. I will add just one more hotspot, and you will see why I'll do this soon. It's for the viewer purpose role. So here we're going to add a definition as well called category volume. And there we go. So that's basically the first question. How can we help easily document your report? The second question is, how can we help a viewer to easily find the documentation that they need? And a specific use case for that could be onboarding new employees. You want your employees to know directly, these are the important definitions in your role, and these are the important reports that come with those definitions. And that is where you can find them. How can Describe help you in this? If you go to the Describe platform, this is our web app. Every time you create a report, it is generated in here. And definitions that you create are also in here to find. So as you can see, our report, the one that we created, we can find here. So let's say we mark this as a sales report. We can find our documentation, and we mark this as a sales report. Now we want every time there is a new sales representative to know that they need to go and find their sales documentation. How can we do this? So we are going to create a view based for the sales domain. So how do we do this? We select our sales domain. We apply this. And we say we are going to create a new view called sales. We make this public, so you can do this private as well, but we are going to make it public for the purpose of onboarding. And now, as you can see, we have a view called sales. So what we're going to do now, we are going to see this in the perspective of the viewer. So I'm going to log out because I'm an admin right now. I'm going to log out and make myself a viewer. There we go. We should get a link soon. There we go. So as you can see, we are now a viewer because we cannot create a view anymore. So what we have to do, I will also have to log out here. And here we're going to log in again. And we are a viewer as well. Perfect. So what we are going to do now as a viewer, I'm a sales representative, I'm new to the company, and I want to onboard. So I'm going to the sales public view. And as I can see, there are a lot of definitions. I can also find there are 2 reports for me. So if I want to go to the report, the one that we just created, I can find all the documentation here that was provided by me. And here we can see show inline documentation. So if we click on this one, we can easily go to the report that our administrator or head of sales had prepared for us. So here we are now at our report. And what we can do is we can see if we hover over these elements, these are documented. So we click on our Describe logo again, and we instantly embed it in our report. We can find our documentation. So we don't need to go to a Confluence page. We don't need to go to an Excel file where we can't find our way. No, directly embedded in our Power BI report, we have our documentation and our definitions that are most important to our company and organization here directly in front of us. And we can do a guided tour. We can say next hotspot, and then we get our next documentation on this file. We can again see our documentation with the linked definition next to it. Once we open this, you can see we have no edit rights. So as a viewer, you can actually make sure they are not allowed to change things, only consume things. So as you can see, this is how we can help with Describe to overcome the challenges of documenting a Power BI report, increasing the adoption of users to consume their reports in a way that they understand them now. Thank you for your attention.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for that quick tour, Brecht. So for those of you watching, we wanted to give you a very quick teaser introduction of how Describe works in Power BI. Obviously, there's a lot more to the solution that we just talked about. We can still talk about enterprise security, for example, the way we are not needing to integrate directly with your systems, but are simply shown as an overlay. So none of your systems have to be exposed to us. The fact that you can use this type of solution to maximize the reuse of definitions across not just your BI system, but also your other enterprise applications, for example, your ERP system, and a lot more. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use this opportunity to drop them in the chat to us, or otherwise, we are always accessible, or you can reach us on LinkedIn, or just drop us an email or a chat on our website. Our website, describedata.com, also includes a lot more details on the solution and the typical use cases that we're used for. So that being said, I don't see immediately questions coming in. So what I will do for you is show you this last QR code. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Brecht, for the explanation. And to you watching, if you would like to try out the solution, if you are joining live and you want to try it today, you will get 5 extra users on our free plan. So that means that you will have lifetime access to Describe up to 15 users. For those of you watching the recording afterwards, you can still scan the code and get started for free for the regular plan. If you have any further questions, reach out to us. If you want to just give it a try, don't hesitate to scan the QR code or visit our website. And we very much look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks a lot and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.